we got to hit on something, and it's a bad job by us because number 57 should be displayed prominently on this table in front of us today.
Get the jersey, please. I'd like to put it on.
I was thinking
Thank you,
about.
Steven.
I wanted to digest the Sanborn thing a little bit.
Carm cried himself to sleep last night.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
a very weird
Thank
video
you.
on our Twitter that I apologize for.
I love that video.
Sure, you
That's on
did.
you.
I'm surprised by this. I'm surprised by this for a number of reasons.
We all are.
Devastated.
And I could tell you without doubt that this was not a unanimous move inside the building to just let Sanborn go. I'm confused by it. Like, I don't think anybody's sitting here claiming that Jack Sanborn's an all-pro or anything. But
I am.
okay,
But-
I'd like to seriously talk about Jack Sanborn right now if we can.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. This guy did nothing but play good football for 3 years. When they asked him to start games, he started games. When they asked him to just be the Sam backer and come on the field for 20 to 30% of the snaps, he did that well. He was always around the ball. He's an excellent special teamer. He's just a good football player. To not even tender him just it makes no sense to me. The last player I can remember like this that I was confused on what the Bears were doing, and they ended up being right about, by the way, was Cam Meredith. Cam Meredith was an undrafted free agent out of Illinois State who played really, really well and went into the 2017 season actually as their number one wide receiver. Now, that depth chart of wide receivers was god-awful, but he was a good player. He tears his ACL. Well, let me back up a little bit. So fast forward, actually. So they let him go when he was at this point in his career. He was a restricted free agent. The Saints signed him to, I think it was like $9 million offer sheet. And the Bears said, no, thank you, and they let him walk. Now, there's two differences. Because I was not happy with that one, too. I remember writing a column, being like, they made a mistake here. Now, they ended up being right, but there's two major differences. One was what I just hinted at. He tore his ACL. He blew out his knee. It was a significant knee injury he had in the preseason. That's not Jack Sanborn's situation right now. And they still tendered him, which is my point. They still put a tender on him that gave them the opportunity that when the Saints came with an offer sheet, they could have matched it. Now, they had the medicals. It was a significant amount of money, and they let him go. So in the end, and it certainly ended up being the right call because Cam Meredith was never the same. This is not that situation, though. So the only thing this must just be a scheme thing. But man, it just feels like the Bears are letting a good football player out of the building for nothing. I do not get it.
And for the record, Hoge, I was ahead of the game on Jack Sanborn when he was making plays his rookie year. When he finally got out here, it was. I'm like, this dude's everywhere. And then then I asked Alan Williams a question. Remember Alan Williams? Hey, anybody standing out to you out there? I didn't think he was going to say it, and he went at Sanborn. And then they decided to go pay Tremaine, and then they just slow played him basically out of Chicago. In essence, is what's happened here.
Well,
and it's just too it's confusing to me. I get to me what happened here is that he doesn't fit their measurables of what they want in a linebacker.
I don't care. He's around the football.
Exactly.
And honestly, I think Dennis Allen's scheme is better for him. He can freelance. He can get to the ball.
Exactly. And the other thing is, look, I don't care how long you are or how fast you are or what you run. How fast are you willing to run into that wall right there and risk life and limb to be a football player and make plays? And that dude was willing to put himself in harm's way all the time. You need dudes like that. They matter. Sure, other guys are going to be longer, faster, and going to look better on paper. But as far as understanding what's going on and being willing to go, why is TJ Edwards so effective? He's willing to put himself in harm's way all the time, and he's very smart and he's active. The Bears lost a good football player in this, and it was going to cost them a little bit over $3 million to keep him. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you tie it back to some Bears things that have happened in the past, like Nick Kwiatkowski comes to mind, I think, for a lot of fans.
Sanborn's way better.
Well,
It's way
but,
cheaper.
Nick, but Nick ended up being fairly decent for the Raiders, correct? Right. So if you say he's better, that he should be able to find a spot somewhere on an NFL roster. And
I think he will. I think he'll get paid to be a starter somewhere.
Right. And then I think the other aspect of this
That'll
to
be
look at is, and we talked to Zach Bond at the Super Bowl at the podiums of how that all went down with Dennis Allen. And he didn't take any pot shots at Dennis Allen. He just spoke to it as a timing issue and wasn't personal or anything like that. But it is fair to ask why Dennis Allen didn't see what the Eagles clearly saw in him.
Yeah, I think it's another Wisconsin linebacker. They're a little bit different, but they're also not. They're just guys that play football pretty well. And look, there's two things here. There's one thing we'll find out, and there's another thing we'll never know. But I'm probably never going to stop thinking about it either. One is obviously just where he signs, the opportunity he gets, and ultimately how good he is. Right. Are we going to be talking about him being one that got away? Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. The second one is, I've brought this up on the show before, and we're just never going to know the answers to that, and it's fine. I do wonder, had they never put the money into Tremaine Edmonds and just let Jack Sanborn play, how different it would be.
You have to wonder that.
I'm not trying to say he's better than Edmonds. Okay. I'm just saying I'm not sure it'd be as big of a drop-off as some might think, and clearly the Bears think.
Well, I think every linebacker's, has had a tall order here the last couple of years with a lack of a pass rush, and any good linebacker or corner will tell you I'm only as good as the pass rush in front of me. The Bears certainly lack that. So, once you are Jack Sanborn, you can't get downhill as much, and now you're, asked to be in coverage a little more because they can't get to the quarterback. Now that's going to expose you in different ways, right?
He's not great in coverage. That's 100% true.
Right.
But he also made a lot of plays.
I actually saw who tweeted yesterday that actually they had some numbers backing up that he's actually pretty good in coverage.
Well, that's interesting because he had some bad beats this year. That I talked to him about it. He's like, I hated the entire part about that play. Like he just owned it.
But we've there was numbers that showed Tremaine Edmonds was fantastic in coverage in Buffalo, and TJ Edwards was obviously one of the best linebackers in coverage. When you come to the Bears and you can't get to the quarterback, good luck keeping that reputation, right? So now, task at hand, obviously, is offensive line priority one for the Bears, but they need to beef up the trenches on the other side of the football and start getting to the quarterback, and that'll have a trickle-down effect to everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.